Hi everyone, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. My name is Scott, also known as Cineram. I do Thursday review videos here, and I'm wrapping up this week's theme of childhood favorites. Now, at the beginning of our week, last week on Friday, Big Al 1982 posted his review of the Joe Dante movie Explorers, and I'd like to do another Joe Dante film that I was quite fond of. It came out in the theater when I was 14, and I went to see it on my own, pay my own, allowance money to see it on my own versus, going with someone, being taken there by my parents or whomever. And that was Innerspace. Innerspace, which starred Martin Short as a supermarket clerk named Jack Putter, and a Navy test pilot named Tuck Pendleton, who's played by Dennis Quaid, and his soon-to-be ex-wife, future ex-wife, Meg Ryan, playing his girlfriend. Can't remember her character's name. I should really have thought about this before I started recording. Anyway, Martin Short is this sort of social, misfit type guy who, has a little apartment and gets pushed around at work a lot and really doesn't have an incredibly exciting life. But things get really, really exciting when some guy who just got shot runs into him in the mall and basically takes a syringe and injects him with something, which turns out to be the miniaturized version of Tuck Pendleton in a submersible pod. He was the participant in an experiment which they were testing some miniaturization technology, shrinking a human in a submersible pod that could float through, the bloodstream down to microscopic size to be injected into a rabbit. But then some fellow evil scientists broke into the lab after the experiment had begun and grabbed the microchips that control the thing, and then one of the scientists ran out with the syringe with the miniaturized Dennis Quaid inside him, and not knowing where to turn after he got shot by one of their henchmen, injected into a human being, which of course they weren't prepared for. So once the test pilot, the Dennis Quaid character, is inside Martin Short, he doesn't know what's going on, so he uses his equipment to establish an audio and video link. He can hear what Martin Short is saying, he can see what Martin Short is seeing, and he can talk to him, basically. It's like a voice in his head. So, in case you hadn't noticed, this is a comedy. It's a pretty funny comedy, and things just go crazy because now Dennis Quaid wants Martin Short to figure out a way to get the microchips back so he can be re-enlarged again. He doesn't want to be microscopic forever. He'll die that way. So they go on their little adventure right there, and Martin Short. Dennis Quaid gets Martin Short to recruit his ex-girlfriend, who's played by Meg Ryan, who is Dennis Quaid's real-life future ex-wife, to help him out with this. And so she's like a journalist, and so she is trying to figure out who's responsible for the theft of the technology and how they can get it back and how they can save Dennis Quaid's life. Some of the other people in this movie include Kevin McCarthy, who is an actor who appeared in the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He plays a guy named Mr. Scrimshaw, who is leading the effort to steal the microchip and sell it to an overseas buyer and make themselves a huge pile of money. He has a couple of assistants in a scientist, woman named Margaret, a very striking redhead woman who speaks in a very evil voice. And then he has another henchman named Mr. Igo, who's played by Vernon Wells of The Road Warrior, an Australian actor. He doesn't say a word. He's completely silent throughout the whole movie. And he's dressed in a very sharp suit, and he wears sunglasses, and he has a detachable right hand. His right hand is fake, and he can take off his robot hand and stick other implements like drills and blowtorches on it. And there's one kind of funny scene which I didn't understand when I was 14 years old, in which Mr. Igo and Margaret have retired for the evening, and she's talking on the phone with Mr. Scrimshaw and says, "I'll have to call you back later because I'm very busy right now," and hangs up the phone. And Mr. Igo has been doing something with his robot hand. I forget exactly what it was, but he takes it off and he puts on another device, which you can't really see, which is out of focus. It's this cylindrical device, and then it starts to hum, and then he does something with it that you don't see, and the scene ends there. And I was just like, what is he's going to do with that thing? What is it? Is he going to shave her legs or something? I didn't get it. I didn't get the joke. But anyway, Martin Short's running around with Dennis Quaid talking in his ear, trying to figure out how to stay alive and not get killed, and get the technology back, the microchip back. And at one point, Dennis Quaid actually stimulates his nerve muscles to change the shape of his face to resemble a black market guy who's played by Robert Picardo, and that leads to a whole really crazy sequence in which he meets the bad guys for breakfast, and then his face starts to change back again. This was a movie that was nominated for visual effects in 1987, but it didn't do that well at the box office, and part of the reason for that was the marketing. The poster basically was this enormous close-up, huge enormous close-up of a forefinger and a thumb holding this tiny little pod between it, and it's because it was so close you couldn't tell what the hell you were looking at. That's one of the reasons anyway. But it's a really, really fun movie. Lots of great stuff happening in it. A really good cast. Martin Short, he's just like one of my favorite geeky guys, along with Crispin Glover in Back to the Future, a geeky hero guy. And at the end of the movie, there's a really great scene at the end of the movie where there's this big, incredible spectacle that happens, and then you've got sort of two incidental characters who are just sort of smaller parts in the movie, and they haven't met each other. They're watching this thing going, whoa, and then all of a sudden they turn to each other and just notice each other for the first time and go, hey, how you doing? I'm just like, it's completely out of the blue, and I don't know, it's just really funny. Really, really funny movie. I went to see this movie 5 times in the theater. It's like one of the most number of times I've seen a movie in the theater. I saw Terminator 2 7 times in the theater. In the summer of '91, I saw 6 times in the theater, and I saw Innerspace 5 times. And those are like the most number of times I've ever gone to see a movie in the theater. I just couldn't get enough of it. It was so much fun. Take a breath, Scott. Take a breath. Okay, so anyway, there's my review, and we're going to have a new theme starting, of course, in the new week, which starts Friday, tomorrow. So if you will please check out the other guys' videos on their childhood favorites. We've had some good videos so far, and look forward to more. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!